I'm Remo, and this is the Daily Signal for Monday, June 30th, 2025. Breaking overnight, Ukraine loses another F-16 pilot in massive Russian assault. Hong Kong's last pro-democracy party shuts down, and deadly strikes rock the Middle East. Here are today's top 10 stories that will shape your world. Ukrainian F-16 pilot dies protecting civilians as Russia launches 477 drones and 60 missiles overnight. The Dalai Lama prepares to reveal his succession plan, while China watches every move. Record-breaking heatwave grips Europe as temperatures soar beyond historical limits. Trump 2.0 could greenlight F-35 fighter jets to Turkey despite Russian missile controversy. UK Labour leader slams musicians' appalling anti-Israeli chants at public event. Thousands defy government ban to march for pride rights in Hungary's capital. Israeli airstrike hits Tehran's notorious Evin prison, escalating regional tensions. Turkish police arrest over 50 people before banned Istanbul Pride Parade. Israeli strikes kill more than 60 people in Gaza as violence spirals. Hong Kong's final pro-democracy party disbands under crushing political pressure. Now let's dive into each story. A Ukrainian F-16 pilot is being called a hero this morning after steering his crashing fighter jet away from civilians during one of Russia's largest aerial assaults on record. First-class Lieutenant Colonel Maxim Ustimenko died when his F-16 crashed overnight while defending against 477 Russian drones and 60 missiles, the biggest single attack Ukraine has faced in months. Here's what happened. Ustimenko destroyed 7 enemy targets before his aircraft went down. Instead of ejecting to save himself, he steered the plane away from populated areas. This is Ukraine's third F-16 pilot killed and fourth F-16 lost since they started operating these Western jets last summer. President Zelensky praised Ustimenko's heroism, but this loss highlights the brutal reality. Even advanced Western aircraft can't guarantee survival against Russia's evolving attack patterns. Why this matters to you? This massive overnight assault signals Russia is preparing for a potential escalation. The loss of experienced pilots flying Western jets shows just how dangerous this conflict remains, even with NATO's most advanced weapons. The Dalai Lama is about to drop a political bombshell that has China's leaders on edge. He's preparing to reveal his succession plan, and Beijing is watching every word. This isn't just religious news. When the current Dalai Lama dies, China wants to control who replaces him. Beijing claims the right to approve all reincarnations of Tibetan Buddhist leaders. But the Dalai Lama has other plans, and his announcement could trigger a massive diplomatic crisis. Here's the real stakes. China has been waiting for this moment to cement control over Tibet. But if the Dalai Lama chooses his successor outside China's influence, it could create 2 competing claims to leadership, one backed by Beijing, one by Tibetan exiles worldwide. The global implications are massive. Countries hosting Tibetan communities will face pressure to pick sides. This decision could reshape religious freedom debates and human rights discussions for decades. Europe is literally breaking the thermometer. Record-shattering temperatures are hitting the continent as we speak, with multiple countries declaring emergency measures. This isn't your typical summer weather. Temperature records that have stood for decades are falling across Europe. Governments are opening cooling centers, hospitals are preparing for heat-related emergencies, and energy grids are straining under unprecedented demand for air conditioning. The human cost is real. Elderly populations are at risk, outdoor workers face dangerous conditions, and agriculture is already showing stress. But here's the bigger picture. This early summer heat wave is becoming the new normal, not the exception. Why you should care? These aren't isolated European problems. Extreme weather patterns are connected globally. What's happening in Europe today could be hitting your region tomorrow. Climate scientists are calling this a preview of summers to come around the world. Could Donald Trump's potential return to power unlock a massive weapons deal that's been frozen for years? Turkey wants America's most advanced stealth fighters, the F-35s, despite owning Russian missile systems. Here's the controversy. Turkey bought Russian S-400 missile systems, which can potentially spy on F-35 capabilities. The U.S. kicked Turkey out of the F-35 program over security concerns. But now there's talk that a Trump 2.0 administration might reverse this decision. The stakes are enormous. Turkey is a NATO ally sitting at the crossroads of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Denying them F-35s pushes Ankara closer to Russia. But selling them these jets could expose America's most classified military technology. Military analysts say this decision will test the entire NATO alliance. If Trump approves the sale, it sends a message that security concerns can be negotiated away. If he doesn't, Turkey might drift further from Western allies toward Russia and China. Britain's Labour Party leader Keir Starmer is facing heat over what he calls appalling anti-Israeli chants by the musical duo Bob Vylan at a recent public event. The controversy erupted when Bob Vylan made offensive remarks targeting Israel's military forces during a performance. Starmer immediately condemned the chants, calling them unacceptable and emphasizing the need for respectful discourse on Middle East issues. This incident highlights the tightrope UK politicians walk on Israeli-Palestinian issues. Labour has struggled with accusations of anti-Semitism in recent years, making Starmer's quick response politically crucial. The broader issue: how do democracies balance free speech with preventing hate speech? This controversy shows how Middle East tensions are playing out in unexpected places, from concert stages to political campaigns across Europe. Thousands of people marched through Budapest this weekend in one of the most significant acts of civil disobedience Hungary has seen in years. They were protesting for LGBTQ+ rights despite an official government ban. Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government tried to stop the Pride March, but protesters showed up anyway. The massive turnout represents a direct challenge to Hungary's increasingly restrictive policies targeting LGBTQ+ communities. This matters beyond Hungary's borders. The European Union is watching closely as member states restrict civil liberties. Hungary's crackdown on LGBTQ+ rights has already triggered EU funding freezes and legal challenges. The global implications. Authoritarian leaders worldwide are studying Hungary's playbook for restricting minority rights while maintaining EU membership. The success or failure of these protests could influence similar movements across Eastern Europe. Three major developments are pushing Middle East tensions to a breaking point, and they're all connected. First, Israel launched a deadly airstrike on Tehran's Evin prison, the same facility where Iran holds political prisoners and dual nationals. This isn't just a military target, it's symbolic. Evin prison represents Iranian oppression to the outside world. Second, Turkish police arrested more than 50 people before they could even start a banned pride parade in Istanbul. This shows how regional tensions are giving governments excuses to crack down on all forms of dissent. Third, Israeli strikes in Gaza killed over 60 people in the latest escalation. Health officials report the casualties include civilians, sparking international calls for restraint. Here's why these three stories matter together. The Middle East is seeing a pattern of governments using security concerns to justify both military action and domestic crackdowns. Iran, Turkey, and Israel are all restricting freedoms while citing external threats. This regional instability affects global energy prices, refugee flows, and international security. Watch for these tensions to spread beyond the Middle East in the coming weeks. Hong Kong's last major pro-democracy party officially disbanded yesterday, marking the end of organized political opposition in the territory. The League of Social Democrats had been Hong Kong's final active pro-democracy party, staging occasional protests despite Beijing's crackdown. But party leaders say the pressure became too intense, the risks too high. Chair Chan Po-ying expressed sadness, but said there was no other choice under Beijing's tightening control. This follows the 2020 national security law that criminalized most forms of political dissent. The global significance. This marks the complete suppression of organized democracy movements in Hong Kong. It's a test case for how China handles dissent in territories it controls, and a warning for Taiwan and other regions. Here's what connects today's stories. Democracy and freedom are under pressure worldwide, but resistance is taking new forms. Three major themes emerge. First, authoritarian governments are using security concerns to justify crackdowns, from Hungary's pride ban to Hong Kong's party disbanding to Turkey's mass arrests. Second, military conflicts are escalating beyond traditional boundaries. Ukraine's F-16 pilot died defending civilians. Israeli strikes hit symbolic targets like Evin prison. These aren't just military actions, they're messages. Third, succession and transition moments are creating global tensions. The Dalai Lama's succession plan could reshape China-Tibet relations. Trump's potential return could unlock massive weapons deals. Even Europe's extreme weather represents a transition to a new climate reality. The pattern is clear. 2025 is becoming a year of critical transitions. Old certainties about democracy, security, and stability are being tested worldwide. What this means for you: these aren't distant problems. They affect energy prices, international security, migration patterns, and the basic freedoms we often take for granted. The choices leaders make in the next few months will shape the world for years to come. That's the Daily Signal for June 30th. I'm Remo. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll see you tomorrow with the stories that matter most.